Well, hello. Hey, guys. Sorry about not getting everything started on time. I'm the worst DJ. You guys know that. Let me flip over the screen here. And we'll get all set up. So, hey, welcome. It is Saturday. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. And you were just listening to Making Stuff with Meadows and Makers. Talking about all the cool things that he is doing to kind of fight the encroachment of dangerous digital technology in our lives and embracing good digital technology to be self-sovereign and to embrace all of the good things that you can do with nature, but all of the good things that you can do with crypto and everything in between. So I have him, he doesn't realize he's muted, but I have him muted. And if you are watching the overlay, I have Marty here with me. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to make him audible to all of you so he can say hello to everybody. You could do that now.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm currently in my hammock. You know, my webcam of my laptop wasn't so great, so we swapped to my phone, but now I'm kind of like super zoomed in.
Look at him. He's
so you
just
guys
chilling.
get to see more of my face.
That's perfect. That's exactly how today's going to work. So for kind of everybody that comes week to week, we do lots of stuff here on CyberBuzz. We talk a lot about the Hive blockchain. We talk about we talk about disruptive technology. We talk about, you know, anything and everything. And a lot of this show is people kind of start showing up. They start asking questions. Chat is really lively. And we often have the most fun when I have a live guest. That's you. So you are, you know, chillaxing in your hammock as one of our very long-term developers from around the ecosystem. Now, I will say to everybody, it's a chill day for me also. I'm hoping that the quality of my voice is okay. I went yesterday for another fucking COVID nasal raping because I got sent home from work for having a scratchy throat. And so I'm exhausted today and I'm actually sitting down. And so everybody that's normally used to watching the feed is used to me standing up, and the whole like how I look and how we interact is a little different. I'm sitting today like a schlumpy schlop. So you're sitting in your hammock. I'm sitting at my desk. Today is a chill dev and Hive chat kind of day. So the best place for me to start for you is we are all really well known by our handles. I literally exist in the real world. I've caught myself actually like introducing myself as Crim to people in the real world, which is hilarious and bad. So, you know, I've always just shortened your handle to Marty, but what do you want us to call you? What do you prefer? It took me a while to find you on Twitter this morning because I had to look for your real name. What do you...
You didn't even know that?
Well, I knew your real name, but God. I just didn't know that's what you were on Twitter as. So what do you guys, what do you want us around the Hive ecosystem and like people who are getting to know you and your products, what do you want us to call you?
Honestly, so my real name is just impossible to pronounce for non-native Dutch speakers. It's Thibaut, so you know, good luck trying that and practicing that. But usually when I'm traveling, I just go around introducing myself as T. Just, you know, the letter T because it's. But you can say Marty or Martibus or T, and you know, I'll react to it.
Okay, so that's perfect. And so usually we give people a little bit of time to filter in, especially because I'm a gigantic asshole and didn't let everything trigger. And there'll be people watching on different social media as well, because we are streaming out to Twitch, we are streaming out to YouTube, we are streaming out to Theta, we are live and people listen to us on mspwaves.com, and of course, the fabulous
Way to put the pressure on.
I know. And my preferred option, of course, is Vim TV, which is, you know, Hive's streaming and gaming experience. So we're fucking everywhere. And anybody who's watching and who's going to be hopping in to hang out with us and to talk to you today and kind of ask questions and learn stuff, you can go from any of these chats. You can say hi. They'll be piped into this chat. We're all in the matrix together. So yeah, there are plenty of people who will be able to ask questions. But there's one thing that I have found, and that is largely that it usually takes 10 to 15 minutes for people to come in. So, you know, if you've got the real sass, now is the time to get it out of your system. But what I'll do is I'll kind of let everybody know who you are, why you're here. And then I'm going to throw you right under the bus and I'm going to ask you to give us like an elevator pitch. And you might remember this from the last time that I had you on. I'm going to want like an elevator pitch, 30 seconds. Who are you and what do you do? Now,
God damn. How did I do that last time?
You didn't. You ran out of time.
Oh.
So I'm going to sum it up quickly. I got to know you, and you were kind of the inspiration for the start of a lot of my whole Steam journey with the Steam at World map, and
Aww.
the travel digest. And of course, now that we're moved over to Hive, you've got some fabulous new branding for the Steam at World map. It is now PinMapple.
Yes.
You have you been here, which is a really cool travel centric DApp. And then of course you've just created BuyMeBerris. And you are one of the few people who has the lovely sort of distinction of being known for you got funding from the THF on Hive without necessarily being super well known or being a top 20 witness, or as everybody likes to tell me, one of you 1%ers friends. So I think this is going to be really cool for people to kind of get a handle on what you do, what you're going to do, what you're doing with the money, what your plans are, and just that's what we're going to talk about for a couple hours. So
I look forward to that.
You think are you ready for an elevator pitch? Can you do
elevator pitch?
Yeah, can you do it?
I'm gonna try my best, but
I'm not timing you, so it's okay. But in my head and in my heart and the entire audience is, so no pressure again.
Okay. When should I start?
Now. It's already started.
Okay. So I'm Martibus on Hive. I've been on the platform for a long time. Used to be on Steam before. I founded several dApps. I think the most famous one is PinMapple, which used to be Steam at World Map in the time. There is HaveYouBeenHere, which is a social media app.
You don't have to go
app.
fast. I promise. I'm teasing you. You can breathe.
Hey, you put the pressure on. Now I'm going for it.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's ruined. We're already past the 30 now. But so you have the mobile app, HaveYouBeenHere, which is a social media app for travelers, which offers like a lot of tools that aren't available to travelers anywhere, both centralized and decentralized. And then you have BuyMeBerris, which is sort of like a Patreon for Hive, which has some really exciting features coming up with the next hard fork. I'm also currently working on like some designs for a potential mobile wallet for Hive, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And there's like tons of other ideas that are floating through my head, and I just need to, focus on one thing. It's sometimes a bit of a problem, but I'm working on that.
Well, that to me is still really exciting, because I think one of the big things that we talk about on this show a lot. Oh, perfect. Yes, this is great. So this is Ron. One time, this is okay. We're going to talk about devs today. Devs and their incessant meddling. And so, we do NFT Showroom, which is a Hive NFT solution. But one time, Ron decided he was going to test mint an NFT. And he used that terrible fucking picture of my face. Well, here's the deal. When you mint an NFT, that shit stays. Sold? It didn't sell. I asked him politely to not make it possible. So here's the deal. We removed it from the front end. But as we know, when you mint something, it goes into the blockchain for goddamn ever. And so now, Inertia.
Not gonna lie, I was about ready to buy it.
Please don't. After you look at it long enough, you won't want to hang out with me anymore. But so here's the deal: is Inertia, another one of our very precious and very loved meddling devs, made a cool command that would go back and it would search through your minting history on NFT Showroom. Well, Ron's only done that once. So even though you can't find this fucking thing, the blockchain never goddamn lies. And Inertia's query will pull it up, and now you can drop it into chat, because it's just, it's the rarest PP.
To be fair, we're all kind of grateful for that.
So there you go. And so of course, Acid, we're gonna have to think about some of the things that we can do. Don't give people ideas. Long story short, meddlesome devs doing cool things with the blockchain is a pretty good segue, because that's what you're doing. You have all these ideas, and one of the things that I think is so fabulous and that we really haven't kind of managed to grow and encourage is the DHF for people with cool ideas who just don't realize how easy it is to build on Hive yet. And you're a
for sure.
great example of that, because you're just like, hey, here's the thing I want to do. I'm going to try it. Cool, it works. And you're doing that while you're traveling. You're doing that inspired by your own experiences.
Not at the moment, unfortunately.
Well, you're on the road, as it were. You're not sitting in a office or whatever. But so I mean, you talked about this a little bit at Hive Fest, but maybe this is a good place to start as people are filtering in and finding the stream and whatnot. Is sort of Hive as a vehicle for you to be creative or to think about, creating almost like a real job. I hesitate to say it because we hate telling people come and earn here, but the reality is the DHF potentially could, for people like you, become a source of income and a source of inspiration. And maybe talk a little bit about that.
So I actually have a great little story about that, and it kind of evolves. It starts at the virtual Hive Fest we had.
Mm-hmm.
So before I did my presentation on Hive Fest, when I knew I was going to do my talk, my proposal wasn't funded yet. So I kind of started looking for a job, because I still have bills that I need to pay at the end of the day, and my savings were kind of running low. And then suddenly I got funded, so it allows me to really create really amazing projects and keep working on things that the Hive community enjoys and that I really love working on. And then that proposal ended, and then I started a new one. But again, same thing. It always takes a little bit of time. You're not entirely sure whether you're going to get funded or not. So I started looking for a job again, and then I accepted a job. Very typically, like 2 days before the proposal got funded. And while I was starting this job, so let me start off with saying, it's been a long time since I worked at a job. It's doesn't quite work for me. And the pay was really good. The people were really nice. It was quite a fun project to work on as well. But it wasn't really mine. It wasn't really what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I lasted a week. And then I decided to quit. To be fair, I was working 14-hour days, getting the work done for the proposal and doing my my job. And so basically it came to me making a choice. Do I go for the money, which would be the job? I would earn a lot more on the job than creating Hive dApps, or do I really push a community that I love forward, and do I help the Hive chain grow, and do I allow myself to just work on the projects that I really want to build as well, right? And so I quit the job and said bye to them and focused on working on Have You Been Here Too now, which is just incredible. And so, like you said, it really allows me to sustain myself. And I'm pretty frugal, so I don't spend a lot, which is great. And it even at this point, it even allows me to I'm now working together with a new dev who will start on Monday and help out with the backend for Have You Been Here, and I'm also able to pay him from the funding that I'm getting from the Decentralized Hive Fund at the moment. So that's just incredible if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting to me because I think there's quite a few firsts, and it sounds so silly because here's this DHF and we know exactly what it should be used for and we know exactly what we want it to do, but it hasn't actually necessarily been doing that. And that's a topic that comes up on this show a lot. Right now we have such a strange mentality for the DHF, and that is it can do everything. We have this incredible hope and this incredible sort of excitement about what it can do, but we're also really careful to be a bit gatekeepy in what it is doing. And it's funny because there is so much funding there, and obviously the first thing that you want to do is just say, well, we've got a lot of money, so let's spend it. That's government bureaucracy at its best, which obviously most people on Hive are exceptionally uninterested in. But I certainly, and often most of the people that come to this show, I'd love to see smaller, reasonable, kind of experimental proposals getting funding and, you know, getting sort of uplifted in that way. So for you, Acid says, I hope no one's recording my trolling in chat. Well, it's going out live on the airwaves. Everything you say in any of the chats is absolutely being recorded for posterity. So you're going to have to owe me a lot of money later, Acid. But so, you know, you're kind of like the first one who's just kind of come out of nowhere and said, hey, I've already been building for ages. I've made a ton of cool stuff. I got more cool stuff to build. And not only that, you've been really open, transparent about the process, which a lot of people are doing. Hey, Howo! Howo is another example of one of them. Who's, you know, being open and transparent about the process. But what's exciting for you is saying, hey, you know what? I recognize that I've got these goals that I want to get done and I'm getting X amount of funding. So I'm going to share it. I'm going to provide opportunities for someone else in the ecosystem. I'm going to bring somebody on to work with me and be collaborative. And that's very cool too. That to me is like, that warms the cockles of my heart. And I hesitate to say cockles with this audience, but I will nonetheless.
Too late now.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out in live. So the big
Somebody
thing...
use that in some different context, please.
Trust me, it will happen. And it won't take too long.
I know.
It won't take too long. But so the big thing that you're really excited about and sort of the guts of your proposal is Have You Been Here? And now Have You Been Here too? Yep. So for people who've never used it, and who don't understand that it's Hive-centric, but also for people who aren't on Hive, do you want to talk a little bit about, like, what the hell is Have You Been Here, other than a cool app?
Okay, where to start? So I think I should start with just, like, explaining, like, really generally speaking, what Have You Been Here is allowing travelers to do, because that's the main focus. Then I want to explain why I decided to take it that way and not another way, but more on that later. And then I'll talk more about how it really can improve the Hive ecosystem in total. So for starters, Have You Been Here is in one sentence, it's a social media mobile app for travelers. And so the content on Have You Been Here is all built up from waypoints. So as a traveler, you can go to any place, take a picture, and then because there is metadata in your image, the app can kind of like know where you were at that point, and then we can suggest places immediately for you. So then you just say, okay, that was the place. Bam, you type your experience there, and you give it a rating. And now you've created a waypoint. And from the metadata, we also get the time you were there. So this is very important. Keep that in mind. Like, we know the place and we know the time, because these things are gonna come back in a lot of other things. Now, one problem that I run into is, like, as a traveler myself, is like, maybe I want to create a waypoint, but I don't necessarily want to share it on my feed with everyone, right? Like, sometimes it's not that interesting. So I kind of had to work my way around that. But then if you want to work around that, you kind of start creating other problems. So that's why I decided to come up by completely separating waypoints. And now one of the first things that you have with a waypoint, every user has their own map, and all your waypoints will show up on that map. But you can then also combine those waypoints in a post. And that post can either just be on Have You Been Here itself, or can be cross-posted to the Hive blockchain as well. And then for travelers, what I think is the coolest feature. So again, keep in mind, we have the date and we have the location.
Right.
Now, just by selecting a start date and an end date, you can draw out an entire trip on a map, right? And this is, to me, it's just really, really fantastic as a traveler, because you can really see, like, the entire route you took and where you went, and the places that you enjoyed and wanted to add to your trip. And it happens, like, automatically, because you already have all the waypoints.
That's so cool. And I don't want to interrupt, but the reason that I am interrupting like a jerk is because when I was doing posts for the Steam at World Map, and what became PinMapple, we were still in the before times, and we were still allowed to move and be real functioning humans. Hey, Crocodile Crew, that's Corbin. Hey, buddy. Yeah, TripAdvisor for Hive with pictures, sort of. And the thing that it kind of reminded me... Yeah, but better and way prettier. The thing that it kind of reminds me of is some of the functionality that you would get with Google Maps. But Google Maps is really unintuitive. And the reason I bring this up is I've had this dream for the longest time, for as long as I can remember, my dream was I'm going to go to Iceland. As a little kid, I was like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to meet a polar bear and look at the aurora. And then, you realize, holy shit, there definitely aren't polar bears in Iceland. And as I got older, the bucket list kind of thing evolved, and it became, I'm going to drive all the way around. The Iceland Ring Road is known, it's globally known for being this incredible, beautiful drive. You circumnavigate Iceland, and most people don't get a chance to do it. They fly into, say, Reykjavik, they stay for a day on the way to, it's a stopover on the way to Europe or whatever. You can add Iceland for $200, and that's like Iceland's tourism pitch, is come for 3 hours and go see the lagoon.
Oh, that's so horrible.
It is. But so my bucket list goal was, I'm going to circumnavigate Iceland. And so I did it. And I did it in the time where I still wasn't totally...
I read about that.
I know. I wasn't quite sort of engulfed in being a Hive or Steam witness at the time. And so I was live blogging my journey around the Ring Road. And I was doing exactly what you're talking about by hand. I was marking waypoints on Google Maps, and I was then... and I was doing this manually after the fact. I was, where were the places?
That sounds so tiresome.
It sucked. But if you go to those posts, I have, the waypoints of the places that I was and the roads that I drove, and I connected them. But it took me like an hour every night just to kind of finesse this, to get this stupid little image that I just wanted to copy and paste into my post on the blockchain. And it took forever.
And then it's not even interactive,
No, you can't do shit with it. It's still static image. And so to me, as you're saying this is the biggest no-brainer thing I've ever heard, especially for somebody who wants, and I saw the pants. You're right, Critty. You're absolutely right. She's talking about the necro pants. So yeah,
I'm not familiar with the necropants.
The necropants, for everybody listening, is this really creepy fucking Icelandic thing. I drove out of my way to go to the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft, and I went there, and apparently the necropants were created by a sorcerer, and they are made of a dead man's skin. And they have a dick and balls attached because it's just skin. It's not real pants. It's skin with nothing in it. So imagine if you could pull off your skin like pants. That's what they are. So they're these creepy skin pants with a little wiener hanging off them. And the idea was the sorcerer would put the necro pants on. And then, and no word of a fucking lie, the ball sack of the necro pants would fill up with gold. I'm not even making this up. And so I missed some of the sort of finer points of why this would happen, or why you would ever want this. And so then there was some sort of thing where you had to take the necropants off and pass them on to someone else, because if you died in the necropants, you'd be haunted. Or I sort of stopped listening after a while. But there is, in these old posts that you guys have on PinMapple, you can go back and you can trace my route through Iceland, and you can go look at the necropants if you want to do that. They're in that post.
For the record, pinmapple.com/@crimsonclat. You'll find it straight away.
I didn't even know you could do that. I'm learning something today. So you can actually just straight up use a PinMapple URL with a user from Hive?
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. How did I not know that? All right. So coming back around, now having stolen all your thunder, so Have You Been Here has these really freaking cool tools that are easy to use and that are logical things that travelers want and they want to share and they want to, take a look at. So that's really cool to me. Because you're kind of thinking not Hive first. And this is an interesting way of approaching the DHF. Because, again, I don't know that there's anybody who is thinking, I'm going to create a thing that's not necessarily only about Hive, but that leverages Hive really intelligently.
I think a lot of people, they're scared about this idea because, the value proposition for Hive is less clear, right? There's a less direct line. It's not like I'm building something that's only on Hive, because then it's clear, you're building something only for Hive, so it has to be good for Hive. Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm building something for a community that's currently not on Hive. I mean, some travelers, of course, are, but most travelers aren't on Hive. But now you have product that they really want, that they can enjoy. And now you have a lot of ways to funnel all of this community that you've built, all of the users of Have You Been Here. You can funnel them into the Hive ecosystem. Like, for example, you could maybe pull up some statistics and see who's being pretty active and who's like having a high engagement on their posts on Have You Been Here, and then be like, hey, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Hive, like in a little notification, and be like, upgrade your account to a Hive account now. You could, for example, monetize your content. Like these small little things suddenly all become possible, and the incentive for the user is there because they know already Have You Been Here is amazing. This thing has to be amazing as well. It's way easier to then get people, invested in learning all of these things, because you can say what you want, like getting involved with Hive, it takes a lot of learning.
Yeah.
But now you provide a really big incentive for those users to learn because they're clearly understanding what's in it for them. Well, one of the issues that I had onboarding people to Hive is it's just too much information without a very, very clear clear advantage. Like that's instantly a user can instantly understand.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. And Inertia's in chat going, more funnels! And he's right too. This is a topic that comes up a lot on this show, especially, anytime we talk about Hive. This is one of those things where, it's so funny to me because often I will end up, talking to someone about onboarding or whatever, and they go, well, what does the blockchain do? And believe it or not, everything is a bad marketing message. It's an incredibly ineffective marketing message because we're bad at choice. And so one of the things, like in my real meat sack world job that I work with, is children's education, believe it or not. And it's really important to me to kind of understand the way people think, the way a user thinks, the way a child thinks, the way somebody who is learning, a lifelong learner thinks. And one thing that every single person shares is we don't like unlimited choice. We think we like unlimited choice, but you go to the pub and there's a 37-page menu. You're like, fuck it. I'm going to have, what's the house beer? What do you have on tap? That, give me that. Or, you go to Amazon Prime and you're flipping through the 12,000 gajillion Googleplex movies there are, and you literally spend 3 hours in the menus and you never watch anything, and then you go, fuck this shit, I'm gonna go play Snake on my phone.
And you see it everywhere. Like, sorry to interrupt, but you see it everywhere. It's like if you look at the most successful companies in the world, what they're doing is they're solving one very clear problem, and that's it. And they're doing that really well. And the same thing, like if you look at, for example, Netflix, right? Like Netflix, they have a recommended for you kind of thing right at the top because they know if we just say here is everything, people would just not use it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And so Hive blockchain has that problem because it's like, well, we're really, really good at helping you sort of monetize the curation process. We're also really good at, allowing you to store things in a decentralized ledger. We're also really good at transacting value quickly and feelessly. We're also and so the problem becomes all of those capabilities really, they really kind of splinter your attention. And so, we talk about this, the people in the chat right now, you're preaching to the choir, but of course they're always, they're kind of the evangelists that go out into the world and do the same thing. I don't want your children, Matt. I love all of you, but please don't give me your children. I'm very incredibly invested in creating the next generation of intelligent and compassionate and inspired to continue learning through their entire lives group of children. I don't want them around at all. I want yours to be great and not like, I don't know, feed me to the...
So you're saying you're going to be one of those people that I can drop my kids off if I'm traveling for a
Ooh,
Cheers. I'll keep that in mind.
No. But, so here's Hive, and this is something we talk about so much on this show specifically, is we wish that everybody just marketed their thing. Because if their thing uses Hive well, then people using your thing will inherently be using Hive, and they didn't have to learn. And so one of the cool things is you're like, oh, I have a Hive account, neat. And as you build up a comfortability, and as you become a Have You Been Here all-star, and you're loving you're loving this process of documenting your travels, and then you realize, well, hey, I traveled near another user, I can see their journey, and oh, they live there, and I might pop in, and oh, well, I was sitting down to coffee with them and they play Splinterlands, and now I've discovered, oh, my Hive account can also let me play games, because it turns out there's not just Splinterlands, there's D-City and Rabona and Holy Bread and Rising
but the thing
Star.
is, like, you have to just start with the start, and I think a lot of people lose track of that. They're trying to get people involved with Hive immediately instead of getting people involved with one project. And like, if you look at the most successful projects that we have currently on Hive, which would be probably Splinterlands or Leo, they're all doing that.
Yep.
They're getting people invested in their project, and then from there on, suddenly a whole world opens up. But you gotta have that funnel. You have to have a starting point, and that can be anything. It doesn't have to be Have You Been Here. It doesn't have to be Splinterlands. It can be whatever that person is interested in. I mean, some people are not interested in travel. Some people are not interested in gaming. But we can have all these options and just get that user interested in the option that he's interested in.
Yeah, it's so
or
true.
She's interested in.
It's so true. And so I'm watching chat here, and I see people are bouncing in and out. I don't have all the viewership numbers up on screen, so I can't tell who's where, but I see Ben's joined us. Ben is another independent developer doing cool stuff around the Hive blockchain when he has time. I didn't say hi to Uncle Bonehead. Hi to everybody else who's joined us. I'm sorry. I'm the world's worst DJ. I'm an asshole. Just embrace it. Embrace it and love it. But so Acid's saying, like, hey, I invited someone to Hive a few days ago, and, I ended up spending like 5 minutes just telling him about accounts. He didn't even know he had one. He was already playing Splinterlands. He didn't even realize that he could do other cool stuff with it. It's kind of like, holy shit. Okay, so that's case in point right there. But so I'm kind of stoked that this is the approach that you've been taking to stuff, because travel, arguably, right now it's a little tricky because people aren't really. But for me, anyways, this last little bit, I've found I've been consuming a lot of travel content. I've been very wistfully exploring the world from my desk, and even going back through my content.
And we notice this a lot with PinMapple, like the curation effort. It's still growing, and it's not like slowing down. So there's definitely still people posting travel content. I think now people are mostly posting about older trips, but I know that there's quite a few that are still posting smaller things, like maybe a hike that they did in like some mountains pretty close to them, or things like that. And it's really cool to see people who love to travel are still kind of finding a way to travel. Of course, not to the extent that was possible before this whole pandemic thing.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, of course it sucks that there's a pandemic for Have You Been Here. On the other hand, it also buys me a lot of time, right? Like, like if there was no pandemic, there would be no time to build Have You Been Here too. Like, there would be just no way, because you would constantly have to focus on scaling Have You Been Here 1.
Yeah.
And constantly working on that. And now suddenly I find myself with a lot of time, because anything I do that makes a new version won't impact so many people, and I have time to really make very scalable architecture, improve a lot of the UX UI, because I tons and tons of feedback on Have You Been Here 1. And so now it's like super exciting, because you can make an app that's really able, like on a UX UI level of smoothness and scalability, to compete with the really big platforms that exist, like Instagram and whatever. And that's, to me, that's incredible that's now becoming an option, because I have this time to really build out the architecture really well.
Oh, choose sharing Crocs in chat. So yeah, that to me is, there's still a lot that can be accomplished, even, thinking right now, oh, well, nobody's traveling, therefore travel's dead. Well, not really. And that's really cool too, because I think, I often talk about sort of the reasons that I came to Hive in the first place, and the reasons that I'm really drawn to sharing sort of artistic storytelling travel content myself. And a lot of that is because I think,
which you've not done enough of for a long
I
time.
know, and I have been kind of I've been pulling back from a lot of the stuff that I do volunteer around. Well, I've been working on pulling back from doing a lot of the stuff that I do volunteer.
And then you gotta host me here.
Yeah, and you know what? This show is a fucking joy. I love doing this. I heard that people still go camping. Inertia. He's speaking me because I went this weekend, and I suspect that's why my body was just like, hey, you know what? That was uncool. There's an Arctic outflow. It was cold. Oh, you slept in the snow. Fuck you. But it's all good. So for me, anyways, one of the sort of biggest and most important parts of this is knowing that, hey, Mariano, everyone's experience is different. And I think you and I have had some long conversations on this. I'm sure standing in the art gallery, we were talking a little bit about this at Hive Fest, is that everybody's experience is different. Everybody's opportunities to travel will be different. Everybody's motivations for travel will be different. Some people don't give a shit. They don't ever want to travel, but they still like looking at nice pictures. Or, you know, some people physically not able to do some of the things, whether they will want to, or, you know, they're going to have robo spines in the future, or whatever it's going to be when we're all cyborgs or we're all plugged into the matrix. But like little things, like thinking of, I went to an island called Skellige, and it is all stairs. The whole thing is this just like completely vertical bit of stairs. A bunch of people die every year. Like if you fall off, there's literally nothing that can be done for
You're
you.
gone, yeah.
You know, there are people who, for whatever circumstances, A, they're never going to be able to fly there, and B, if they get there, their bodies in the current form that they're in are never going to be able to do that. And so for me, this type of content becomes a little bit less Instagrammy and about like, here I am in Paris, look at me, and a little bit more like, here are these beautiful, strange corners of the earth that, you know, in your current incarnation you might not get to. And I want to show you how amazing this planet is. And there's something really beautiful about that. And so when I kind of look at all of your projects, they really speak to me because of that possibility, and knowing that in this sort of global world now, that somebody who might be growing up, you know, in a back alley in India, or somebody who lives in the Dust Bowl of Kansas can take that journey with you and can kind of bring some of that into their life if they want. I think that's really powerful, and I super appreciate your projects for that.
I know we have like I was honestly quite surprised with the success of Travel Digest. Like even up until today, it surprised me. Like up until today, there's people reaching out, telling, you know, us, the team, how grateful they are that, you know, we are doing this because of the exact reason that you're mentioning. Like, you know, we're not able to travel right now because of COVID, but at least they get a little slice of travel by reading the Travel Digest, right? And this is so powerful. And, you know, up until today, I think I still underestimate how powerful that can be for a lot of people.
Should we make a photography tribe on Hive? Well, there's quite a few, Lethal. You should definitely take a look around. There's at least 2 that are really, really bumping, and there are a couple separate smaller niches as well. But so kind of coming back around, because I know Howell popped in and then bounced again, is maybe we do kind of touch on the proposal stuff a little bit, because one of the ideas about this, and one of the things, there's still places in my house I've never been. I'm fine not traveling. And yeah, you know what, Inertia, that's fine too. My sister is exactly like that. You know, she'll be like, oh, you're going away again. And I'll be like, yeah. And she'll be like, nope, no thank you. And then she'll buy, she'll buy something that she really needs. And I'll be like, man, I wish I had that, but I spent all my money on flights. So the reality is
I know that feeling.
Is everybody's got a priority. And I don't, like, you know, some people are like, oh, I pity you, you've never traveled. No, that's a personal choice. If that doesn't jazz you, why the fuck would you do it? So you can
100% agree with you.
Yeah, you can be fine not traveling, and I will be fine traveling, and we will meet on the Hive blockchain, and you will incessantly make fun of me, and I'm okay with that. It's okay. But so kind of coming around, one of the ideas was, maybe we should have some more like AMAs around proposals and around the DHF. And so I know you were kind of excited to come do that here, which certainly makes me feel great. It's a good pump to my tires. But honestly, it's sometimes it's a little easier with somebody else, bouncing your ideas and your questions and your answers back to you and helping you manage
100%.
all of the chat that's getting thrown at you. We'll see.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody has sort of like hefty questions about the proposal process, about your proposal, about fund management, about work management. But I mean, I'm going to throw it out there that anybody who's listening now or anybody who comes back and listens to this later, if you have questions about this process, if you're thinking about a proposal or you want to hold, T's feet to the fire or whatever, you can do that. That's what today is legitimately about. So if you have a question,
if we're talking about proposals, like I've just been introduced to what I got a sneak peek behind the screens, an amazing podcasting platform that's being built on top of Hive. So I'm super excited about it, but I hadn't even heard about it until 2 days ago, which is crazy. Like there's so many people building and just not getting the word out. And a proposal, like the way I look at it, even if it doesn't get funded, you at least get people to look at your project, which is very powerful as well. And of course, in an ideal world, people love your project and you do get funded as well.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and of course, we've seen sometimes people love your project and then you don't get funded, which, so you haven't 1,000%, you're not living in this space because your new one is, but your last one wasn't. I think that's something that a lot of people is sort of around the platform kind of internalize a little bit is, okay.
You're breaking up on me, but...
Oh, sorry. I lean back and it, I'm streaming it as
Discord is doing Discord things.
Yeah, Discord sounds like donkey dicks. That's the general thing that we say here. Like... a donkey dick in each ear. But also when I'm streaming, sometimes my connection is not always the awesomest. So what I was going to say is, your new proposal has been funded, but you did go through a period where your last one wasn't. And this is something we've kind of internalized around the platform. And probably a good thing that you and some other devs can speak to. Yeah, exactly. Quad's like, we love your project, but absolutely not no money for you. Go fuck yourself. But we love what you're doing. Keep at it. That is pretty demoralizing. And this is one of the biggest things that I think we struggle with in Hive is whether we like it or not, money impacts emotion. And, there is the rare person who has transcended like Chew and has become, one with the universe and no longer derives some of that really intrinsic idea of money is value. People who want to give me money value me. If they don't want to give me money, they must not value me. We've seen this on downvotes. That's a really hard thing to separate out of Hive, even though it's like, who cares? It's a downvote, like no big deal.
Yeah.
But same sort of thing with the DHF. We've had some really passionate developers like Disregard Fiat. Steve was on a couple weeks ago talking about his stuff. He threw a great proposal out there and it's at 90% now, but there's only 4 days left. And so this has been a struggle for him.
I had that as well.
Yeah.
With the last proposal. But I mean, so I think for me, it has also been a bit of a journey to just understand basically how to get funded. And I'm also like always willing to give out tips to people who are looking to get into the DHF, because there's a lot of things that you need to think of. And usually, like at least in my experience, it takes like if you're gonna get funded, you have to like take at least like 1 month of time before you're actually gonna get funded, at least.
Yeah.
And then once you have your first proposal running and you can like show off like some really good work that you did in that proposal, then it becomes a lot easier. So first of all, like don't make your proposal a very high amount. Like that's my first tip. Like the first proposal you make, just make it like an amount that you're comfortable with, that you can start building some things for, just so people can judge your work first. Because if you're just saying like I'm gonna build all of these things, but I've never heard of you, it's already for me like I might not vote for you just because I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to deliver on that work, but the community is still paying, right? Like this is one of the things. Then the second thing is like make your deliverables really, really clear. Like I've seen some people talking about a proposal and it's not that clear what they're actually going to do and what they're going to build. I'm not really necessarily talking about the entire split on I'm going to spend 5 HBD there and it. No, just like the deliverables. Like this is what I'm going to reach and this is going to be finished by then, because I think at the end of the day that's what really matters.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't be scared to reach out to people with big stake. Like a lot of people who have a big stake on Hive, you're gonna need them to vote for your proposal to get funded. And usually they also have great feedback for you. Like even if they're not funding your current proposal, they might fund your next one if you take into account the feedback that you've received. Like for example, some people say like, look, this is what's keeping me back from voting for your proposal, but maybe you can take a look into that, and if you address those issues, I might be interested in voting for that proposal. And so that's what I've been doing. Like it took me, basically 2 proposals that didn't get funded before I got my proposal funded, just because I was learning and listening to what does the community want me to build? What do they expect me to do with the proposal? And how can I still just build, the thing that I think is going to be really great? It's like a balance that you have to make between those two.
That's the sound of my brain exploding just listening to you. Because this is, this is very kind of reminiscent of your Hive Fest talk as well, because this is a skill that everybody needs. We're talking very specifically about Hive and the DHF, and if you're still not sure what the DHF is for people watching later or who are, not speaking from one of the other platforms, the DHF is the Decentralized Hive Fund, and it is essentially this big kind of pool of funds that are allocated daily based on the stake in the Hive network, in the Hive ecosystem, voting on what they'd like to allocate these funds for. And there is no real rules around it other than it has to get enough stake voting for it to have it pay out. That's really the only rule. But of course, What we've discovered is culturally, there are always rules. Hey, Solo, culturally, there are always rules. And yeah. Sorry, Corbin's over there going, I don't fucking know. Yes, the DHF, the Decentralized Hive Fund. And so this is this really cool opportunity. Here is what amounts to a pool that is held back that can be given to anyone for anything if the sort of consensus of stake on the platform agrees for it. Now, we've talked about this largely in terms of development, because realistically, that is the best use for it. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing that can be done with it. But, how to approach this is the community is immensely protective of this fund. It represents the struggles of Hive's breakaway from Steam. It sort of encapsulates how we feel about what brings value to Hive, but it's also like, this sort of, we as a community really strongly are passionate about this, and it's something we can control. And so it's just, there's all these weird intermingled feelings, but here you are and kind of sitting in the middle of it going, okay, well, I've done it a couple times. I will hit that. Thank you, kitty girl. She's very good about keeping me honest about what's happening in chat. So here you are kind of going, okay, well, I don't even want to use failed twice, because failed isn't the right word, but let's use it. You failed to get funded twice. So, you kind of came through that and said, okay, well, that's not enough to stop me, because this failure wasn't, it wasn't that I wasn't performing. It wasn't, just not everything lined up, and that's not 100% my fault. Am I going to take that, internalize it, be miserable about it? Or am I going to pivot on it, and am I going to, we have a very common saying on this show, are you going to take what you need, all the good, useful stuff, and chuck the rest in the fuck it bucket? And that's exactly what you're kind of telling people to do is, well, yeah, you know what? People didn't know me, even though I'd been around forever. People didn't care what I had built, even though it was great.
Don't say that to Living UK Taiwan. She'll give me a hard time for not getting my face out there enough.
Well, and this is, hey, Clayboyne, this is a dev problem. This is 1,000% a dev
100%.
problem. Most people who are really good and creative and impassioned about building something are like, I have to tell people about it. Like that's the worst thing in the world for them. It's just not what they want to do. It's not what they care about.
I think if I may interrupt for a second, like so I think in general, like to a certain part, that's also true for me. It's just like I prefer to spend time building things than talking about things. But I guess I'm lucky in the regard that I have people kicking my ass when I'm not talking about things. First of all, and then second of all, I'm also lucky enough that I'm quite articulate. You know, I can explain what I'm doing quite well myself. And I've noticed that this is something that a lot of devs are struggling with, like a way to really, really properly like structure and make clear what they're doing and what they're building, and like just communication skills in general. And I've actually recommended some other people recently, in other projects recently, to basically invest in a communications person, because they're doing incredible stuff, but they're just not great at communication, and it's half of the work. Like if you can't get the word out, and it's not only on the DHF, you know, but just in general, like if you can't get the word out, good luck getting anybody to use your product in the first place, or getting
Hive,
DHF, or getting, you know,
Hive in general. Literally the story of Hive. So yeah, I mean, it's true, and I'm bad about this in my own way too. Like you can never shut me up on this show as you're learning. You're having to interrupt me to get a piece of time on your own show. But in sort of the real world, like for me to like take this show and shill it to someone else is like, ugh, no, yuck. So the way I get around it is I'm like, well, today I'm supporting, Marty, so I can pimp that. But like, if it's just a crim show, it's just like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Blech, gross. But so, I mean, here we are. There's some really valuable advice in sort of approaching the DHF. And, I haven't seen too many questions about your exact projects. There was one that came up, and then Mariano had a really sort of general question, which was, total noob, what are you using code-wise for your projects? I know you've just learned some new infrastructure as you've been working on the new Have You Been Here? I know you've kind of picked up some new frameworks. But certainly sort of my take on it, for most newbies, and when I recommend noobs, are JS. And I know that's going to get me yelled at by every programmer on the planet, but in terms of Hive blockchain integration really easily and quickly, like Python and, JS are the two that are like, if you can put together a really rudimentary HTML page, you can incorporate very easily using nothing but free resources, either JS or Py. But for you, I think for you building a whole app, you are building a standalone app. What would you start with? Where are you falling now? I know you use things like Flutter. Like what's that looking like for you?
So currently my stack front-end wise, I'm using the Flutter framework, which uses the Dart language under the hood. And I just honestly completely fell in love with it. Like, I mean, it's quite new, so there are some stupid things that, sometimes you're like, why? But in general, I just really, really love what they've done. I love Dart as a coding language. It's so much fun to code with. I love the concept of widgets within Flutter, which is basically the way it works is like every small part you make is just already in its way completely separated. And if you talk to developers,
Did we lose you? We lost Marty. We got too too technical, and he just disappeared on us. So we'll see if he can come back. We'll see if he remains dead and frozen forever. And I don't think he knows that he's fallen out. So we'll just see if he picks up or he comes back. And if not, I'll throw him out. Actually, maybe I'll do that. That ought to show him. Huh! All right, so we'll see if we can bring him back. Are you still frozen? You're back.
Am I back?
Yeah, you froze.
I don't see myself back.
It's okay. I promise you're back. You're good. I've been flinging you around trying to fix you. When in doubt,
All right.
turn it off, turn it back on again, tech support, pick you up, throw you out of the
Works.
room, pull you back in again. So the NSA got you. We got a little too technical. You were literally just talking about sort of the widgetization. And there's a couple of frameworks that are kind of using that sort of thing. Like Vue does that as well, where you can, build a little module and then pull it in really easily. And we'll try not to get too technical for everybody. But so Flutter is kind of becoming your go-to for mobile or just for your whole stack?
Yeah, for mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I really like what they're doing. They're also compiling to native, which is quite incredible. But there are still some issues because it's a new framework. Then for the backend, I'm using a Node.js REST API with Express. And actually, this is one of the.
I like Node.
There's a lot of.
I know a lot of people don't, but I like Node. I personally.
I think there are some risks with Node.
I feel like
because
it's just gonna start throwing things at me. I'm gonna have to duck them here. No, not everybody loves Node, but so that's cool.
I like my Node.js.
Yeah, Mariana, we can hook you up with some resources here too.
Sure.
No worries on that. Sorry, you were gonna follow up with one more thing?
And then basically you have the database layer because with HaveYouBeenHere, it's not everything is on Hive.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense for HaveYouBeenHere, and it would make it impossible to get users that aren't on Hive to use HaveYouBeenHere.
This is a big
so there's
one.
a MySQL database that's behind it as well, and it means actually I have a lot more work than most projects because I have to do things twice, right? Like I have to make everything work as a completely kind of centralized platform, and then I have to basically add this whole decentralization layer on top of that, so that people can, from there, after they got comfortable with the app, I can get them onto the Hive blockchain and really learn about all the advantages that can give a user.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm watching chat and Uncle Bonehead is going, how good is it on mobile browser? And so you can actually download it. So for HaveYouBeenHere especially, do you have he found it. There you go. I was gonna say, do you have links? How is the process of getting accepted into like app stores and stuff? How fun has that been?
Pain in the ass. So app stores have all these kind of sometimes very, very ridiculous requirements. To give you one example, with Apple, one of the reasons I got rejected the first time. So actually, let me also first start off with saying the current version of HaveYouBeenHere 1 that is live on the App Store is HaveYouBeenHere 1. And it's a nice app. You will clearly see why it needs HaveYouBeenHere 2. Let me just put it that way.
Okay. So for HaveYouBeenHere 2,
some UI UX issues.
Yeah. So for HaveYouBeenHere 2, what do you think? Like pretending that you aren't putting out these actually really detailed and great functional posts on this. What's your goal for that? Like when do you think it's gonna be
started? So the first launch, I hope to have it done at the end of the current proposal, which is, if I'm right, in 2 months and a half, 2 months and 10 days.
Okay.
So that's when I hope to get a first version out that's reasonably usable. Of course, there will be bugs and there will be things that needs to be fixed after that, like with every launch. But that's when people should be really looking forward to start using. But then the future plans for HaveYouBeenHere are literally endless, and this is one of the things that sent me down the rabbit hole and keeps me so motivated and excited, because you can build so much on top of HaveYouBeenHere.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, and the most obvious one, is the whole Hive integration, right? Everything to do with Hive, get people involved with Hive, letting all the actions that you can do on Hive also work from within HaveYouBeenHere. But then on top of that, there's some really cool things that you can do, because, for example, based on how you use HaveYouBeenHere, the app could kind of already know what your travel interests are, and then you can do really, really fun things with machine learning, where you can get place recommendations. So let's say, for example, you travel to Iceland and I travel to Iceland, and you I'm just gonna say, museums about witchcraft, and I like nature. then you would get like if you're arriving in Iceland, you would get recommendations for like museums that you're interested in, and I would get recommendations for example nature. I know you love nature as well, but just to outline
But
the
what I
ideas
really
and
like is a skinned man's wiener hanging on the wall, is what you're saying. Which is, I mean,
yeah.
that's fair. I'll take that. I'll take that criticism. I'll be put in that box. But so this, listening to this is always such kind of like a nice thing is hearing your plans and knowing you're planning for this. But one of the things that I hear right off the bat with this is, here is sort of the next level of monetization, not just for your user base, because that's an important part of Hive in general, is as a user, I want to have some control over my experience, my granularity. I want to know when and where and what I can monetize without a middleman. Great, cool.
Yep.
But for an app, monetization matters. And so up to this point, advertisements. That's what it is. And the ad will never.
I just don't want to do that.
I know, and advertisements will never go away. But what we think of as sort of mobile or web advertisements is the stupid banner that pops up over the bottom of your screen, and you're trying to get rid of it because it's covering up what you're trying to read. But that's not necessarily the only form. And so right off the bat, like, this sounds like something that potentially could become part of what helps the app sustain itself as well. Is I have a coffee shop. I have a coffee shop in Iceland, and I'm equidistant between a glacier and the necropants. And so to both of these people who are on their journey, I want to have my little shop pop up as a possible waypoint. And we've seen this already in sort of other types of kind of map or route planning apps, but you'd like to blacklist locations on Google Maps. So there you go. This might actually be something useful for Have You Been Here, is potentially, I never want to see this location or anything like it again. But so here are these things where you can start looking at creating meaningful connections to people that aren't driven by that sort of big faceless algorithm anymore. But that are, hey, I know a lot about this person and their proclivities and their travel. And rather than showing them, something horrible that is completely unrelated, or that is, mined from their most secret data that they have not really realized they're contributing to, I literally am just going to show them stuff around their trip that they're going to like, because that's okay.
Clear,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's also like you first of all, it's up to like you choose whether you use the algorithm or not.
Mm-hmm.
That I would use, and second of all, it's really like it's a user's incentive. Like if you look, for example, the way Instagram does ads, right? Like literally every 2 or 3 posts you get a fucking ad. It's really obnoxiously ridiculous. While the way that with those place recommendations, they're actually in itself not really ads. They're just giving you place recommendations. Of course, then people can book at those as well, but that's like a second thing. So as an end user, you might as well just use it to find really cool places that are free. That's like maybe it's a park that you're interested in, and the algorithm would know because you like nature and you like parks and you like a lot of the travel profile of you says you like parks. Then that park would show up, and there's no entrance, there's nothing to.
Yeah.
It's just a really helpful tool for you to find nearby places that you will love. Because this is something that I've personally struggled with on my travels. I arrive at a new location. Maybe I look at TripAdvisor to find something, and it's just all the same mainstream touristic bullshit that I just don't care for. And now all of a sudden, you have this app that already knows what I want, that knows that I like kind of, more underground kind of place. Maybe like to do some urban exploring or whatever, and it can suggest me those places, which to me is incredible. And this is like there's not a single other product that can currently even do that, because they don't have that social data, like very niche social data on travel content, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that's going to be really interesting too. And I hadn't really thought about it. Like same with say like urbex in general. I think urbex is really cool, but often places don't want you doing urbex because either it's dangerous or it's private property or whatever. So of course, then you also have this sort of, well, we have user data, we have social data, we have people who have tagged this place with an activity that matches my interests, that, you know, this derelict building didn't tag itself and promote itself as Urbex, but, you know, a bunch of other users have corroborated, there's this proof of brain again, have corroborated that this is great for it. Now it's paired up with, well, I can add it to my trip as a waypoint. I can, you know, share it with my followers who are going to be near me. I can, you know, and so you can kind of tie it into all this stuff that we take for granted with Hive, that becomes part of this fabric that is being woven between the community here. So kind of swinging back around to the ad stuff, because, you know, how ads are evolving and what's happening with them is pretty important for, you know, the blockchain in general, and internet in general. Is we need ways for apps to be self-sustaining, and especially with the DHF, like, you're gonna get boosted funding. You may have a long-term, Slobberchops does great ones. Solo is the postmaster. He'll find anything. He's got useful posts on everything. But so here you are, you have people who get DHF funding to start up a project, to build something, and potentially, maybe if they're really well known and are building something that people really love, maybe they'll get some long-term funding. Peak D, great example. Long-term funding for their stuff. Splinterlands and Hive Engine, nope, not getting shit. So, you know, that isn't necessarily a great way of, you know, doing your longevity planning as a dev. So in this case, you got to build your product knowing that you need to be able to monetize for yourself in a way that makes it sustainable longer term.
100%.
So for you and for your projects here, what does that look like?
So I think it's a really good question, a really important question as well. So first of all, I was talking about the place recommendations before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the easiest way to monetize is with affiliate links, because it's something that's very quick to do and very easy to integrate.
Mm-hmm.
But then more long term, what I'm really, really looking forward to is to basically start like, and this is really, really long term. I'm talking probably years before this goes live, to be very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Is to kind of have an own online travel agency, similar to Booking.com, but where you can use Hive and Hive back dollars to book at places. So
Amazing.
This is like a lot of work, but I think it could be really, really incredible. And, you know, there might even be, this is something that's still very much up in the air, but something I'm considering, to have like a native token to Have You Been Here itself, which can then integrate with Hive as well. And then, you know, suddenly you have ways for hotel owners and hostel owners, camping owners, whatever, to earn income in Hive. And a really, really nice bonus on top of that is, as long as they don't take it out of cryptocurrency, usually they don't have to pay any company tax on it.
Mm-hmm.
So for businesses, it's massive, right? Because company tax can very quickly be 30% or 30% or more even.
Well, and one thing that I'm just thinking of as I'm listening to you here too is, plus, travelers come from everywhere. And travelers these days really don't like to carry cash, and conversion is a pain in the fucking ass. And, you know, especially in a lot of places that you may be traveling, you will take your phone with you, you will take a device with you. You won't necessarily want to carry, you know, a traveler's check. You won't necessarily want to carry a credit card and hope that somebody can take it. So crypto also kind of represents, as long as you have some signal of some sort, potentially then you are able to transact value via crypto,
100%.
Which is, that opens up a lot for, you know,
because
add-on purchases
one
and
of
stuff.
the biggest problems with starting anything global is payment processing, like payment service. Like you have literal services called payment service providers, right, who exist just to solve this, because like as a solo business, it's almost impossible to do. Even almost all of the bigger businesses who are active global use a payment service provider under the hood, or multiple payment service providers under the hood. And crypto completely removes the need for that, which to me is incredible. Like, for example, one of my other ideas is sort of like an Airbnb, but for food sharing. So for example, if you want to cook a meal, you can just cook a meal and then you post it like, look, I'm cooking this meal for 6 people who can join me, and there's going to be completely random people, and then those people just pay and they're able to have a meal with you.
That's
sounds like a really, really awesome and fun concept.
I was just going to say, this to me sounds like it's come straight out of the brain of somebody who is used to the idea of shared experiences, travel, hostels, sort of when you go into a community and you just dive right in. And some people travel like that and some people don't. So like for some people, I guarantee you they're going to look at that and be like, that's fucking
what the
weird.
fuck?
But for some people, sharing a meal.
But this is the beautiful thing.
Yeah, sharing a meal with someone of another culture or in a new place, or, just because you happen to roll into town and you don't know anything or anyone or don't have any resources or whatever the case may be, like, that's great. I'm going to beep boop on my phone. I'm going to find a group of people who can give me the heads up about this city and what they love. And Neil, next week on Serial Killer Stories. But I think that's really cool. And for me personally, I'm of that mindset as well. I love food is love. Food is love socially. Food is love culturally.
And there's also something I think there isn't a single culture where sharing a meal is not seen as it's like most cultures they like, how often, like when you were younger, still living at a house, like your parents wanted you to eat together with them.
Oh yeah,
most likely, right?
Totally.
And it's because it is a social kind of ritual.
Totally, and
people want to share that.
It's a respect thing too, and this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, Chu's got a great point too as well. If you're somebody who has sort of different dietary needs, you're vegan, you're whatever, like that's a great option as well. But yeah, for me, like. And there's something very Viking Adventurer says, I am very food motivated. I also am. But so this is one of those things for me that like I actively pursue when I travel, because I think there's a lot that you can convey respect and appreciation in that setting that people can connect with really easily. And so Neil's saying the strangers element is the hard part, and for some people it will be, and that's, again, we went over this earlier, some people are going to want to do it, some aren't. Variety, spice of life, and all that.
This is the really, really beautiful thing. So you can say that the stranger element is the hard part, but there are ways to of course, optionally verify yourself as a user, that you're
throw it into a box. I'm going to pick it up off your doorstep. Like a creep. I'm going to skulk around and you're going to feed me a pancake through the mail slot on your door.
But you also have reviews, right? You always have reviews as well. So these are things that they can make that experience easier. And if you look at how Airbnb started, everybody thought when Airbnb started, this is crazy. Yeah. Why would I invite somebody into my house? Yeah. And then look at it now, and it's very simple. Like, the value proposition is very clear. There are a lot of people who can use some extra money. This provides the opportunity to earn extra money while having a really, really great experience. There are a lot of people who like eating out, but going to a restaurant is just really expensive in a lot of places. Yeah. And now you're able to eat out, and so there's like not only like from a purely simple cultural exchange point of view and food exchange point of view, like also just from a very practical point of view, it's just an idea that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of issues with regulation, and one of the main issues that I found was payment processing, because I also wanted to do both crypto and fiat currency, because a lot of people, again, are not familiar with crypto yet. And honestly, at this point, I'm thinking of just doing it only with crypto, just because of how fucking ludicrous it is to add payment service processing in there. Well, it's like the fees you pay, the taxes, the bureaucracy, it's such a fucking hassle.
But I think this in its own way is a part of like why Hive and other crypto kind of ventures are great anyways, is because it allows you to take that step. You can build that whole app. You can sort of insulate, isolate, protect yourself from that. And there's still this recognition that as a user, I'm going to engage only in what I want to. I'm going to pay for what I want to. The government's not going to step in, and take a cut. But also, you can just spend more time developing the app than, exactly. Chu and Clay, Chu and I went to a fucking vegan soul food place in New Orleans, and it was fucking unbelievable. It was amazing. But so, yeah, I mean, we're kind of...
I must chew up with how crazy I am in Greece. Like, I don't think she's recovered yet.
Yeah, I would have liked to party with you guys in Greece. I was thinking about this morning. The last time I saw you was in Thailand. Was was in Bangkok, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't count for the virtual reality, right?
Well, no, I don't. I'm talking about in real life.
Real.
In meat sack world was in Thailand. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Hive, like a lot of the Hive fam again, because that's one of the like greatest things about being part of this community is just, you know, dropping in on people that I've met here. Haven't been axe murdered yet. I am still young. There is still plenty of...
a few times, but...
Yeah, almost got me. But so, you know, this is a thing that I love, but we kind of got sidetracked by talking about future potential, but it still relates back to this kind of whole conversation about, you know, why do we use Hive? Why is the DHF great? What does it look like for you as somebody with ideas? You know, all of this kind of ties back in. And so, for me, anyways, I think there's more people who have popped in that I haven't said hi to. Neil is here now. There's quite a few people. Viking Adventure has now gone visible. He's probably been here for a while. But so hi to all of you. It's been a long time since I kind of did the whole station ID buffer thing. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. And often we talk about, you know, disruptive technology, and we talk about the Hive blockchain, and I play synthwave music. Today, we're hanging out with T, with Marty, with T-Boot. T-Boot.
So this is exactly what I meant.
Do you get T-Boot a lot? I'm Canadian. Listen, you can't see...
I get T-Boot a lot.
You can't...
Everywhere I go, people prefer T-Boot over T-Bot.
But it's because you have the U. So for most, like, let's face it, English speakers, that OU is like a...
Okay. I know how to explain it. So you know how you say about, right?
Is this a Canadian beak? This is about is something I get in trouble for a lot. Okay, but see, you can't see, but on the video,
T-bout. It's
T-bout. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he's like, wow, no, never say it again. I know. I understand, but what you can't see on the video is I'm holding my Canadian mug. Everybody makes fun of me because about, care. These are all words that they say I have a Canadian accent, which I don't. That's a filthy lie, and you're all disgusting liars. But I just was going to show everybody. So I've got my Canadian mug here that says sorry. I wanted to show everybody. You can't tell. It doesn't focus very well. But I got a new label maker. And so now everything in my house has labels on it. So if you're wondering what this black thing on my mug is, it's a label that says mug. So this is just a new thing. The label maker came into the house. This one's good. Controller says controller ! Because it's a controller. So that's the new thing that's happening in my house in COVID crazy lockdown town. I'm labeling everything with label. I'm not. It's like that old Simpsons episode where Bart gets a label maker. That's where we're at. So I'm Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz.
To be able to travel.
I know. This is CyberBuzz, and we're talking with Marty T. We're talking with T-Boot.
No, the second to last one was close.
I know, and I at this point I'm actually fucking with you because it is tradition that new people that come to this show, I immediately butcher their name, usually because I'm incredibly intoxicated. So we're talking with you about all the stuff that you've built, about your process with going through.
You're not intoxicated at the moment?
I'm not. There's only a little bit of whiskey in my hot toddy, and I haven't really been drinking this. There's a bottle down there.
At this.
YouTube is not showing. For fuck's sakes, Marco, I don't know why YouTube isn't showing. And I apologize, and I'm sorry. I will try and fix it. YouTube breaks every week. It is absolute, utter fucking trash.
But you know what's really lovely about that? That means that Vim is definitely better than YouTube.
Yeah, but you know what? This is actually really problematic because I haven't been recording this. So I am going to have to see where I'll have to go to my Twitch. I will have to make sure to download, because I was using YouTube. It's very easy to rip the broadcast from there. So I will have to grab it from Twitch. I will have to download it, and I will have to re-upload it again to make sure that people can have it, because YouTube is usually how people watch these.
All of that.
No, I know, but usually people come back, like a lot of people watch these shows after the fact because they're at weird time Yeah, I know. You should have told me really quickly. No, I never record. I'm an idiot, Ron. I know. I stopped recording because I have literal terabytes worth of these shows because they're all, high def and 5 hours long. So it doesn't matter. Hold on. We're focusing on what we're doing here. But so what I will do is I will grab the Twitch stream. I will grab that recording. I'll pull it down and I'll make sure that everybody can watch it again. But with all that being said, kind of cycling back around, we've been talking a little bit about the DHF, your proposal, asking you about your dev work. So one of the ones that we haven't touched on yet is the BuyMeBerri stuff. Wait, maybe the tube is working. Yes. You know what? I suspect it's not, Marco. I really suspect it's not, because I can see that the viewer number on YouTube has been 0 the whole time, and that usually goes up to 5 or 6 people who are watching it live. So the fact that it's still showing 0 right now means it's probably not doing the thing. So maybe you could talk a little bit about BuyMeBerries, and I will discover what's happening. Maybe. I don't know. It says it's it's okay. Not. It's my fault. I'm an idiot. I have it turned off in my caster dashboard. I could turn it on now.
Really? You didn't press the goddamn button.
It's a toggle, actually, sir. And I'm literally connecting it now. So it's going to start up now, just for like the last half hour of the show, 40 minutes of the show. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. I will have a full show available to you. So anybody who normally watches on YouTube, I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it right now. God damn it, Marco. You should have said it immediately. All right, BuyMeBerries.
Yes. Is it again like a 30 elevator pitch kind of thing? Or
no,
is it
I mean, no, you have as much time as you want. We still have 40 minutes left in the show. I just really enjoy scaring the piss out of people who are coming on the air with me. And that backfired because then for like the first 20 minutes of the show, you were talking like this and it was really fast and then everybody was freaking out. So you are allowed to breathe. You still do have time.
To yourself.
You played yourself. Okay. No, but BuyMeBerries is something that we have needed around Hive for a while. We've had different tipping solutions. Hell, I made one on the old blockchain. We have a great browser extension based one now, but at PeakD and some front ends, Oz's front end, the Ozbit dev front end, Ecency just included tipping, but it's not just tipping. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
You got that right. So for me, the main issue with the current tipping solutions that existed on Hive is, first of all, most of them are platform specific. Like they only work on that one platform. That's it. And then second of all, it was always the tipper who had to take the incentive. So if you look at spreading the word about anything, you have to take the incentive. It's the same with building a company, right? You can't build something amazing and expect people to come. You need to let people know it exists, and it's the same thing with tipping, in my opinion, or getting funding for projects, or support for creating really cool things, and like for all of that, you need to reach out yourself. If you don't reach out yourself, you're not gonna have an audience.
It's
simple as that. And so what BuyMeBerries allows a user to do is they can just go to buymeberries.com. Type in their username and then click generate codes, and automatically what happens is like a bunch of different types of buttons are automatically generated for you, and all you have to do is literally copy paste, and you can post it on any front end, and now you will have a button like other way on the website or in your posts or whatever that accepts HTML. You can put those buttons in there, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
Like now all of a sudden it's super simple to do that outreach without and taking that first step to let people know what you're doing. And then of course then it takes you to your BuyMeBerries profile page, and then from there people can tip. But then the two other really cool things that I've added to BuyMeBerries, because I felt like if it's just a place where you can tip, kind of not so interesting because you don't know what you're tipping or why you're.
That's me in a nutshell. Yep. What am I doing? Why am I here? Who put this pudding in my pants?
And I got your back on that regard.
I know you sent me berries.
Oh, yeah, I did. I forgot. Yeah, I sent a few berries out here and there. And so I allowed users to basically use 2 tags. And so the reason I wanted to work with tags again is tags are platform independent. You can use them on pretty much any Hive front end as far as I know. You can add a tag and it will work.
Yep.
And so you have a tag called BNB Home, And if you put that on your post, it takes the latest post that you have with BNB Home, and that becomes like your header post, like your information and why people can tip you and what you're doing and who you are, like all of that stuff you can put in a post with tag BNB Home. And then I also wanted a way to let users give updates on what they're doing while still, again, using their favorite front end. And you can do that with BNB update. And this, like, to me, is really fun because now all of a sudden you can keep people in the loop of what you're doing. Like, if you go to my profile, right, it's buymeberries.com /@martibis, you'll see that there is a page at the start, and there's also a little tab that says updates. And under these updates, you have all the posts that I think are relevant to people who might want to tip me.
Yeah.
And so you can see, like, for example, I just put an update 2 days ago or 3 days ago about the work that I've been doing with regards to the proposal. I think this is a really important thing to know for somebody who might be interested in tipping me. So I added the tag BNB update, and bam, it's right there. And then the last step you have is your supporters. And the way it works is send your berries, and then a message, like you can put a memo in there, and then that memo gets posted. It gets used as a message there, and it's like you can really share like fun messages with the person that you're tipping to, let them know why you're tipping maybe, or saying right, just love your work, and you can make it more personal.
I like this because this is something that we have been trained to do. And what I mean by that is you're not going to get shit unless you kind of have that little bit of outreach, like you were saying. But what we've been trained to do, most people are not savvy enough to go generate a Hive signer link or whatever, or, I don't want to send you to one specific front end to go click one specific button to then use your where in this case, what we are trained to do as users of all platforms is I'm going to find a plugin, or I'm going to find a copy and paste button, and I'm going to put it on my profile, and it's going to work. And that's how I'm going to do this. And so this is really important. Again, hey, Darren, thanks for joining us. And I see now people have immediately jumped over to the YouTube. So there you go. It's working. Viking Adventure confirmed it. But now I see, of course, the watchers there are updating. So fucking crim. That's a crumb. Everybody can shame me. Boo.
Still, Rondon?
Boo this
do you
woman.
Have the picture? The NFT one?
No. Boo this woman, queen of filth. But so... this to me is really valuable because, again, people don't always think about what users need. And so, Neil's here, and I'm always kind of pimping Leo stuff and whatnot. But that's because Neil's my fake witness partner. But the reality is there are only a couple of projects that are really thinking about end users. Now, I'm nepotistic because I believe NFT showroom, a lot of, crumbs and Claude. Yeah, it's a fuck up for sure. But so I'm a little nepotistic because that's the same thing. That's a platform built on Hive that we very much we started thinking about as an end user who's not good at crypto, who is feeling intimidated by the NFT space. We created something for them, and so this is the same. Oh, look at you two! Oh, favorite people. Look at how under control your hair is there. Holy shit! Look at you being all clean and whatever. Well, I'm just saying I'm used to the more the travel
times,
the travel haircut.
Sitting at home.
Well, this is still a little less wild than the one time. I feel like in Thailand there was a lot going on, but I think you had been on the road for a long time.
This picture looks super innocent, but
you do. Look at you.
If I remember correctly, we were getting drunk, more and more drunk at that.
I'm sure you were.
Maybe that was before. I'm not sure.
I'm just saying.
Or at least I was.
That is a very innocent looking photo, is for sure. But so, coming back to this is people expect, like, I want to add this to my website. And so giving them a nicely formatted, easy copy paste, set of buttons is literally what needs to happen, because people will not put in more effort than that, or they may not know more than that. And again, we want to kind of like smooth the ability to start adopting these things.
I think this is a problem with a lot of projects on the Hive.
It is a huge problem on Hive.
I think there are so many devs who are building these incredible things, right? These incredible products.
But they don't think about these.
And then you look at the UI and the UX, And no offense, it's often just really really bad from a UI UX perspective. And I think one thing that Hive really needs more of is UI UX designers
Oh
who
yeah.
can really be like, did you really think how this is gonna be for the end user? Like this is awesome, but nobody's gonna use it because it's too difficult to understand. Um, and this is a problem I think a lot of devs are facing on Hive at the moment. And so that's again
Absolutely.
why one of the reasons that I really want to flip the script and be like, I want to make a really really easy to use product first, and then use that to funnel people to the Hive blockchain. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, it totally matters. And so Buy Me Berries is like one of those things that, again, do we look at all these people with their personal memes? Amazing. Um, you know, do we have a lot of ways of people using kind of getting drawn into Hive for the reasons that they want to be versus the reasons we want them to be. And this, for me, is like any project. When you build something and you're fucking jazzed about it, and it is a culmination of your experience. I came to the Hive blockchain. I started posting. I learned about how to use my keys. I started using my wallet. I discovered this. You forget the process that it took you to get to where you are. And then you are building something new off that foundation, forgetting that people who, don't have that same foundation are starting quite a bit
It's why you
further.
gotta really
Yeah.
it's why you really gotta talk with users. Like it's the reason. Like I wish, like even with Have You Been Here, I wish I had listened to my users. Like I've always been very very approachable on that part. Like I know, like I've always make it very clear to people, you can reach out to me, let me know if stuff just feels like even if you think you're gonna insult me or something, please just let me know, because like people are sometimes afraid to tell me what they don't like because they feel they fear it would hurt my feelings. But honestly, no, like I'm building this for everybody who's using it, right? Like if you don't want to use it anymore, then I need to know why so I can improve upon it. And like luckily I've gotten all of this feedback. I just wish I acted upon it faster. Then I wouldn't have to rebuild Have You Been Here from scratch, basically,
So
right?
this makes me think of like two kind of questions related directly to this. And number one is knowing now, hey, you're funded, you're getting better known around the ecosystem, you're building a bunch of projects that people, yeah, my favorite, I knew it was coming. I was hoping it wouldn't. That was a hell of a night. I'm definitely doing exactly what it looks like there, and that is drunk me attempting. It is awkward. I don't know, like there's something about this angle. Look at me. I look like I'm huge. I'm this big, wide monster, and I am indeed trying to take a bite out of Chew's buttocks there. So go team. If you're not in the Discord and you're watching this later and this sounds titillating to you, well, you snooze, you lose. I'm very sorry that that's not going to go live on the stream. And by that, I mean, let's never look at this photo again.
You can still kind
For,
of edit it
for
in, maybe.
the record, I would indeed take a gentle chomp out of Chew's buttocks. They are delightful and... Two girls in one pair of pants. That was my favorite. And that was a level up. So 1 second, I'm going to grab my whiskey bottle. Okay, so my bourbon bottle. So before we descend into that, there was two questions here that I was beginning to lead up into before things went shit sideways. But now I have to take a shot. So 1 second.
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So the questions. Whew.
Oh shit!
The questions were, yeah, maybe plug in. So the questions were, number one. Oh God, that was a lot. The questions were, here you are talking a little bit about people being intimidated and giving you feedback, and you're getting better known, your projects are getting better known, you got your DHF funding. So the first kind of question pertaining directly to you is, what can users who watch this today do to help you out? So in this case, like, is that, coming to you, is there a feature? Is there a thing that you wish more people tried? Do you wish more people looked at the login screen? Would it help for ratings on the App Store? Like, knowing that you're kind of in this cool transitional place where you're building, what is something that you wish people did that would help
Well,
you out?
honestly,
help you help them.
If you want certain things, like if you like the idea of having an application like right, where you can, as a traveler, get all your waypoints, get connected with other travelers, post both on Have You Been Here to the Hive blockchain. If you like the concept, like mapping out your trips, potentially getting place recommendations, just download the application, jump into the Discord. I think maybe Chugo can.
Yeah, she'll take care of it for you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Got like an invite link, and just like, or even directly message me. Like, even if it's something as simple as, when I first tapped that, I didn't understand what it did, and it took me like 15 seconds to figure out. That's super valuable information for me, because it means like 15 seconds is a long time, like to understand something on first glance. And you'll notice within Have You Been Here, there's a lot of those kind of, like, once you understand it, I'm getting really, really incredible feedback. Like, people love it, like, once they understand how it all works. But it takes too long to get there. And I need to know where are all the pain points, like what is taking too long to understand, because I'm the person who built it. So it's very, very hard for me to see those things, because I understand everything already, because I've built it, I'm using it every time. So if you download the app, just open it up, play around with it, and then tell me, this didn't make any sense to me, I still don't understand what this does. Send it to me either directly in a direct message, send it to me on the Discord channel, send it wherever. Just let me know, because if I get that feedback often enough, I know it's something that I really, really have to look into and change. And that's how you improve any product. If you don't have feedback, you can't improve the product.
Totally.
And so now I'm really like opening channels and trying to listen. And basically, all of Have You Been Here too is just a accumulation of all the feedback that I've received up until this point, and improve. Like, one of the really, really big things that kept coming up and up again was that people didn't understand the difference between a waypoint, a post, and a trip. They were just like, but it's all the same thing, no? And it really, really isn't.
Yeah.
But I can understand how, if you use the app for a first time, it might look that.
Well, you could have
so like,
a trip made up of one waypoint that has a post attached to it. So again, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I can almost see how that would come about. Chu, what we were asking is, if you get a chance, can you please drop a Discord invite for Have You Been Here in the chat? If you could, very please. So this kind of leads me into the sort of second question. Like I was saying, there's two questions on this, and one was sort of specifically, how do we help you? So the next kind of step is, okay, here are a bunch of people who are approaching the DHF, or maybe just, the wider world. I'm going to create a thing, but let's try and kind of focus in on the proposal stuff. You've already given some really fabulous advice on how to kind of attack the DHF and the proposal process. But knowing now, here are the things that are useful to you. Do you think, do you have advice for somebody who is maybe hesitant to give feedback to a proposal because they might sound mean, or they don't want to discourage the proposer?
Again,
is there a type of feedback or a way to approach it that will not crush someone utterly to the depths of their soul?
In my opinion, it's just make your criticism constructive. Like, if you're just gonna tell me the proposal is shit, that doesn't help. Like, I don't know what you think is shit, or why you don't think it's good. But
it's
but
not funny, but it's true. I think a lot of people struggle with constructive. So like, for you as a developer or a creator, what is constructive? Like, what? And maybe it's, don't include swear words, but realistically, it's sort of, if you could have a goal that everybody who gave you feedback, either positive or negative, would it be try and be a little more descriptive, or try to tell me how something I build makes you feel, or what's
just give the reasoning. don't just give the opinion, give the reasoning behind your.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, usually I get mostly positive feedback, but I've had quite a few people in the ecosystem asking me really, really important questions that needed to be answered. Like very recently, even, I got a question. It's like, I don't understand why you need to build a centralized app first. And it's a really good question. You know, if you think about it, you know, you're building on Hive, which the whole idea is to be as decentralized as possible. And then, you know, once you start explaining it, it makes sense, and then that person, you know, understands why I've decided to do it that way and not another way. But if they never ask the question, if I never receive the criticism, I don't know this is a concern. This is also why, you know, I think, in my opinion, it's the person who put up the proposal, it's their duty to find out what the concerns are. Like, you go around and ask people, what are your concerns with this proposal? Because if you just, again, it's the same thing. If you just expect people to just vote for it because it exists, you're gonna never get funded. It's as simple as that. Like, I've done quite a bit of outreach, just asking people, what do you think about this? Why would you vote or not vote for it? And I've also never directly asked for somebody to vote for a proposal. I asked them, hey, could you take a look at it and tell me what you think? And if you like it, you know, of course, please vote for it. But if you don't, let me know why you don't.
I think this is a really important distinction. You know, DHF, yes, but just in life, again, this is really valuable to remember, because this is something that the internet has done to us too, and we've talked about this on this show specifically in regards to Hive. It's been, for years, we've been very sort of caught up in the culture around here, and how the internet and the way that we communicate through the internet shapes an experience. Neil feels attacked. Just wait, Neil, I'm coming for you. But what I'm kind of getting into here is one of the things that has happened around social media in general is that you have to be pushed into feeling an emotion over a certain point to motivate you enough to leave feedback. And this is a really important sort of addendum to what you're saying, which is, if you just throw something out there and expect, you know, feedback of any type to come, it's not going to happen. Hey, Beard Flex, what up? So the problem becomes, if you're not A, telling people that you've done a thing, B, asking how they feel about the thing. Look at this. He's got his own emojis and everything. So if you don't do that, the reality is people will not be motivated to give you feedback. Yeah. But also, it is easier to motivate negative feedback than it is positive. And so this is something that I've noticed, you know, whether it's upvoting, whether it's comments, whether it's, you know, social media in general, you will find that negativity proliferates so much quicker and more easily. And I think this is going to be something that people in the DHF and a dev especially are going to fall into, and it's going to be real bad. Is one person's like, your shit is busted and I hate your stupid face. And, you know, what's going to happen is a pylon, and it won't necessarily be a positive pylon. So there's so much important kind of, I don't know. I can't get up on the rooftop and shout how important it is to just go to someone and be like, hey, I'd love your constructive feedback. I don't care if it's good or bad. Please, you know, let me know what you think. Because if you don't go ask someone, the only person motivated enough to leave you a comment will be someone who literally wants to make you cry. That's just the internet.
and this is also one I think one important thing. If you try to be like, you know, ask for constructive feedback, and you're not really getting it, you're just getting really like unuseful like shit comments or whatever.
Yeah.
Just ignore it. Like,
that's hard though. Have you developed?
I was about to say, it's not always easy. I think I just kind of always prevent that before it happens. But to give you a
communication
very quick
matters.
example of something very recently, and the way I'm actually I have to look if I can find that message. But there was a user who posted on within the Have You Been Here community, and basically there's two rules. You have to pin to PinMapple, and there has to be a travel. All we ask.
I know exactly where this is going, because he came in and he was very upset in here as well. So tell the story. He basically went to all the Discords, saying that, you know, and not only that, like I had a run-in with him a few months before where he called me a racist without any like prelude to that, which is a pretty harsh remark to make on someone. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I didn't even put the link immediately that it was in person. But then, you know, he shows up, he goes to all these Discords, basically
saying shit about putting Have You Been Here, trying to give it a bad name. Uh, but then this is where maybe I'm also quite lucky. People know the community and know the people behind the community by now, and know that we've time and time proven again that we're pretty like reasonable and trustworthy people. So that really speaks in our advantage here. But I can imagine that it's not that easy to just ignore that. Definitely, if that person is going all over the place, and even for me, I felt at one point I have to say something. So I basically wrote one quick message in one Discord, in the general Hive Discord, and I left it at that because
No.
it wasn't worth my. I just said my piece. People can find it there, and then I move on. Because if I keep spending time on that, I'm not doing anything productive. I'm not getting positive, like useful feedback. I'm not building anything, and I'm just mentally exhausting.
This is
not worth
yeah,
it.
and this is a big thing. And I think, because we're not 100% at the end of the show. We got about 15 minutes left, but we're going to kind of come back and touch on some of the topics from early in the show. And that was things you've learned approaching the DHF and all this other stuff. And the reality is I can almost see where, the situation came about, talking to this guy. But a lot of it is misunderstanding. And a lot of it is, when you get mad, when you get the downvote feeling or the, I didn't get the value, nobody paid me feeling, that is this thing inherent to human nature. And so, how do you cope with that? How do you sort of get around that? The perfect example is basically what you said. And eventually, like, most of us are susceptible to this. Like, I have been doing this show now for 4 years. And I put everything out there, and people see the very worst of me, my giant fat face smashed into other people's buttocks.
You gotta be
Some
more
days,
kinder to
no,
yourself.
but I'm just saying, and this is not a fish. Don't worry, this is not a fish for compliments. But I mean, this comes up all the time. Is becoming sort of open and sharing a lot of my moments of my, like, sometimes. One night I did a newbie night, and my camera froze, and it was me going, and you can't see this, but my mouth was like this weird fish face, and my eyes were half shut. Like, it was the worst. Yes, beard, exactly. And so this was it's the worst thing. I'll try and show you what it looked like. It was like, and then it was frozen like that for 45 minutes on the live stream, and I didn't know it. And so these are things that happen that are it's how you handle it. And so I have gotten some comments because of all of this that have been not necessarily very nice, and that's okay. Somebody's gonna go, "Oh, you leave Krim alone." But the reality is I've gotten some feedback that's not nice, and at first you go, oh, and you take it so personally, and you internalize it because you have put yourself out there to be judged. Whether you actually are asking for judgment, you put yourself out there publicly, you're going to get that feedback. And it's the same thing when you develop something and you ask someone, "Here, please use this," and they tell you, "No, it's bad and I hate it and I hate you." That it's hard not to take that personally, but how you handle it matters. And so
I think
you're
so just about this specific kind of example, like the way I would handle these kind of situations for myself is without directly confronting them about what they're kind of doing, I make them realize what they're doing. Does that make sense? Because everybody who thinks about that, like about what they just said, will realize this was a stupid thing to say, right? You just have to get them to realize that without judging them. Because if you're going to tell them, "No, you're wrong," then it's just going to become a shit show. Like, it's not going to work. So you got to be like super nice, super constructive, even if that person's a complete douche. And it's very hard to do.
But this is it. And I kind of want to highlight what you're saying, because I think it's going to be very useful for people on Hive, for people using the DHF, and just in general for people, because it is hard at first. Your gut reaction is like, "No, that's unfair. It's mean. They hate me. I'm going to take this personally." But it's very easy to say, "Well, just forget it. And, don't worry about it. Just you shrug it off," and you'll build that up over time. But what you said earlier was exactly perfect. And it's, you stop focusing on what that person said to you and just said, "Hey, if I give this more time, I'm not building. I'm not doing the things that I want to do. I'm giving something that doesn't deserve my time my time.
Yeah.
And that all of a sudden,
my
it isn't
time
really
is
about
precious,
what
you know?
it's not about what they said anymore. You still can be hurt by it, but you're also saying, I'm going to choose how much of my own time or my own emotion I'm going to dedicate to giving that more thought. And so it's, okay, I'm hurt by that, but you know what? I've got other stuff to do. So that sucks, but I am going to move on. It's easier than saying, well, just forget it. Don't be stupid. Like, of course that's not helpful. So I think that's going to come up so much more as we have more people approaching the DHF, more people trying to run proposals, more people trying to build things on Hive, more people experimenting with posting in communities and fucking it up royally because they can't read instructions and then getting a little flag and then going nuclear. You know, this is going to happen, and coping mechanisms matter.
Start? It's just like a simple consultancy.
Oh, well, you know what? And I probably will. Like, when I get this all set up and I have this replay, I will absolutely direct some people who are working through the proposal process and who are scared about approaching it or who have failed to get funding a first time around. I think that would be incredibly valuable. And it's part of the reason we've done this show today. Is not just, you know, to highlight all of the cool stuff you're doing and all of the successes you've had and sort of to get more people excited about what you're doing. That's important. But also just kind of like, hey, you're a really good example of somebody who's done something with the DHF that we haven't seen a lot of yet. And that's really meaningful and probably will be useful because we'd like to see more of you. That would be valuable. So we are coming into the last 10 minutes of the show. You know, for people who are joining us or who,
like that.
I know, it's all fun and games when you're talking about wieners full of gold. But, you know, so, you know, coming back around for this last 10 minutes, we've covered so much today. We talked a lot about how you approach the proposal process, a little bit of what your proposal covers, what you're doing with it. You know, we talked about PinMapple and its origins. We talked about HaveYouBeenHere, that app, your future plans, the scalability, the next version of HaveYouBeenHere. We talked about BuyMeBerri.es.
Just want to quickly throw it in there because I think it's important. So remember the Airbnb about food thing that I was talking about before?
Yeah.
The name.
Yes. You're very excited about it. Do you want to tell people now that?
Yes. I feel like I have to. It's gonna be called lettuce meat, but lettuce as in, you know, like the food lettuce.
Yeah, and meat
as in yes. So lettuce.
That is cute, and I'm gonna say I am sensing a tiny theme in your projects. You got your PinMapple as a pineapple. You got your BuyMeBerri.es. You got your lettuce and meat. I mean, it's actually becoming quite a well-rounded, you know, healthy meal.
Yeah, I just have to find a way to do it. But have you been here? I haven't gotten around to it yet.
What? Yeah, but and then have you been here? Are you calling it just 2, or is it going to be like have you been here TOO, or is that just how you refer to it in your head?
I just say 2.0 in my head.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So we're in the last 10 minutes. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. We've been having a lot of fun. Fabulous Marty B has been here. You can find it's MartiBis on the Hive blockchain. There are so many cool things that he's built and is continuing to build. So today has been kind of this fun. Everybody can ask questions, you know, talk a little bit about his proposal, his projects. He's open to all of that. We've dropped lots of links in chat. When I do post this replay and everything else, I'll have all the links available for you. But for everybody who's watching now, reach out, ask him his questions, you know, find out a little bit more about why he chose Hive, why he's doing what he's doing.
Also, for everybody who will be watching later, you can always ping me on Discord. I'm pretty responsive.
I know you said ping, but I heard pay.
I said ping. Goddamn.
But yeah, so, you know, there's that. Yeah. And then, of course, there's we have messaging systems on Hive. You can find him. He's posting about his proposals and sort of what's going on.
I got the Canadian thing now. Sorry. Yep.
What did I say that was Canadian there?
About?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I can't do the accent.
I don't have an accent. You have an accent.
I do. But
yeah. Exactly, not me. All right, so now that we're kind of in the last couple minutes of the show, it's been a shit show. We're winding down a little bit. There are more shows on today. We have, I'll watch my time here. We got about 5 minutes. Let's do a quick boo and get me over to the time is page. So cool. Thank you for everybody hanging out with us today. We're not going away just yet, but we're exiting the formal. Shut up, Chew. We're just exiting the formal part of the show. Here's Asher has jumped in. I mean, that was formal-ish. As far as I go, that was incredibly formal. So
fair enough.
You're welcome indeed to come back at any time. And of course, we do this every week. We talk a little bit about Hive. Normally it's a little more teachy and a little less philosophical. So we did good today. But yeah, so if you want in the chat room, you can just dump a bunch of links now and I'll share them later. But so I guess, what are your plans that are not dev and Hive and whatever centric? I mean, what are you gonna do?
My non-dev plans.
Yeah,
there's a lot of exciting things coming up.
The things that are not totally under control of the will of the people of Hive and the DHF. What else? What else is for you? Because now I can ask about you as a person. With the last 2 minutes.
Let me first of all state for the record that you say it's not under the will of Hive, like it's a bad thing, but I absolutely love working on these projects.
Good man.
Like I'm so super grateful that I'm able to do that. And I've realized that even more just by starting a job and but if you look at what I'm actually doing beside that, there honestly isn't much. Like I've spent a lot of time working nowadays, so I think I tend to be busy with Have You Been Here or some of my other projects. I would say on average, even though I quit my job, I should say still on average about 10 to 12 hours a day. So it's a lot, but it doesn't really feel like work because I love it. Like I really enjoy it. So for me, it's like similar to gaming. Like I'm just doing what I love.
Well, that matters. It matters. But yeah, I mean, anything else on your mind?
To that, yes, of course. There's always things on my mind. But there's some really like exciting things probably gonna come up soon in my personal life. My brother has started a glamping in Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, doing crazy things kind of runs in the family. Just starting projects and building. Well, at least between me and my brother.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna go to Georgia relatively soon. I'm even considering opening a business there and becoming a resident.
That is very cool. It's very cool because you can keep doing the stuff that you're doing here.
My personal.
Yeah. All right.
I can do everything, and it's a beautiful country, nature-wise and culture-wise. But there's only one way to find out, and that's by going there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's exciting. Okay, so I'm watching the clock. I'm careful because of course Agrod is coming on after this. He'll be up next for anybody that wants to stick around. And Georgia the country, not Georgia the state, Neil.
Yes,
but yeah,
the country.
This is a really cool thing. He shared the link with me a little bit earlier. His brother is literally creating this cool glamping pavilion where
you hurt my feelings.
Don't worry. Aggie is a lovable troll. But so the idea is, camping, hostels, hotels, some of the costs, and not just to the person who is going, but to the communities that you're going to when traveling can be really intense. So, glamping is this cool idea of like, let's live a little closer to nature. Let's build a more eco-friendly experience and facility. Let's get people a little more in touch with kind of the camping aspect, but also give them all the amenities they want. It's a cool idea. But of course, we're now down to like 1 minute left in the show and we can't touch on it. So this will be something that hopefully will be in your updates and maybe people will be posting about on Have You Been Here. So to recap all the stuff we did today, we have had a really fun chalk. You guys, Asher says I'm watching you guys on video and it makes me happy. So I will be reposting this for more people to watch. I feel like we covered some really cool, interesting stuff today, talking about what it's like approaching the DHF, being a dev and looking for this type of funding, being inspired by your own interests and what the Hive blockchain can do to make your development life easier. We talked about all of your projects, PinMapple, HaveYouBeenHere, BuyMeBerri.es, Let Us Meet in the future, and everything else. So in like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, say thank you, say bye. You got that much time to do it.
What? That's all I'm getting. Well, first of all, thank you all for tuning in. Krim has given me not enough time to finish like this little part. But thank you everyone. I think everybody who's important, who's helped me on my journey, knows who they are. I also want to really quickly end the go. With saying, reach out to me on Discord if you have any questions. Sorry, Krim is just
Marty B. All right, we're going. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
All right. So there you go. We got knocked off the air. Now we're still actually streaming. So now we could say the real quiet goodbye. So for the YouTubers and the Twitchers and the Vim streamers, we'll say a nice goodbye to them. But we have just knocked right off the air for MSP waves.
Okay.
This is good. I will provide you with links to share with people because I know it's always a little difficult to find the proper time. I didn't 100% get a good tweet in. We're going to figure it out. But thank you so much for everything you did today and for coming to chat with us. And we will do more of this kind of thing. I want to get more people paying attention.
Likewise, thank you. For having me and hosting me. It's always to be on the show. Like, great to talk with you. Great to get the feedback from chat. I love being.
I'm
a little Hive highlight for me always.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a little bit obviously nepotistic about it because it's nice. I get an excuse for people to come be nice to me and like chat with me and spend time with me. And it's often I can lure my favorite people from around the ecosystem into it. But it's also nice, I know for a lot of people just kind of jumping into this can be hard. So bonus points if I can make it a little easier for you to talk about some of the stuff you're doing and force you to do that.
Yeah,
so
I think it really helps a lot. Like, again, I'm a person who doesn't usually spend a lot of time talking about what I'm just building, right? And I'm talking with users, but not really doing a lot of outreach.
It matters.
So this really helps a lot. And it's in a really fun format.
Yeah, well, we try.
It's not like I have to be super stiff and no, it's just like, I'm chatting with somebody about what I'm doing, which is fun.
Oh, and Ron's saying my volume was low. Well, fuck you, Ron. He can't hear. We'll swear at him in the background. So that's exactly it. Is I think that part matters too. Is a lot of devs and developers and stuff. They get the sort of stuffy kind of you don't know how to talk to users. You don't know how to do the layman thing. And that's nice. I like kind of being that sort of translational piece in the middle because I do dev work myself.
You cut out for the last time.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I like being that transitional piece between helping people understand the layman side of things and helping a developer kind of loosen up and have fun when talking about their stuff. Because I do dev work, but I'm also completely unserious and, thoroughly creative and often.
I think we got that both for us going.
Yeah. So this is always a nice step. So I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to end up the stream and then I will I will have to go out and download it from Twitch because I'm an idiot.
That'll be a pain in the
ass. And I will,
yes,
I will get you all of videos and we can post the Vim replays and get everything done. So you'll have this to share with people that you want to get a little bit of a better feel for what you're doing. But with that, I am going to end up the stream. So thank you so much. I will talk to you later on.
Yes. All right. Okay. See you all.
Bye, Wave. Bye. Oh, is that a pit stain? Oh.
Wait, what?
No, it's not. Okay, no, nothing. I'm very nervous about my armpits on camera. I know. I'm sorry. I'm always worried I smell. It's a crimp thing. It's just a crimp thing. Bye, guys.
Bye.